What's up, YouTube? What's up, Xtreme Gainz family? I'm Chuck. This is Xtreme Gainz. I am not a financial advisor. Nothing I say is or ever will be financial advice. Please do not take it as such. Today's Wednesday, February 16th, 2022, and this is the AMC Algo Exposed Daily Update and Prep video for tomorrow and beyond. And I'll add a little bit of SPY in at the end here. So, with that said, let's dig in. AMC up 0.98% in regular hours, up an additional 0.15 in after hours, trading at $19.70 per share. Real quick, I'm going to kind of breeze through a lot of this, try to keep this one brief, all right? Snake Algo. The previous snake that's been leading for over a week is still leading. Its next projected movement is this. According to that, then the potential for the new snake that showed its indicator Monday, showed itself yesterday, clipped it from yesterday up until today. That's all I clipped here. I have not added today's movements from the micro on to this, but I placed it. It does overlap down into, what would that be? Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, almost into Friday. It overlaps. And then it gave spot on projection today for today's movements. But its future projected movements are here, creating a diversion point for real-time price action. That is what I'm tracking with both of these. That's why they're both still on here. And that's what I'm going to look at going into tomorrow. Let me go ahead and remove. I'm just going to leave it there. I'm going to zoom in and just show you. I don't want to move them because I like where they're at right now. Sometimes it's hard to get them back. So this is the week that it projected, right? This is staggered, by the way. I had to pull it over, but don't mind that. It's on there. It projected us last week. Go watch the videos or the live streams from last week. Anyways, then we overlap down in here with the new one or potential new one. We're on the 1 hour right now, by the way. These were our movements today. Both of them pretty much projected it spot on. Obviously, we get some volatility here, according to this one, tomorrow. And then we start a move up. I don't know if that move up will be tomorrow or Friday. But it looks like we get volatility tomorrow, according to this, to the potential new one. If it's the old one, we go flat. We literally go from up in here, down in, and we go flat. So that's what I'm looking at for the two of these. I'm going to come into the 5 minute and show you from a placement and a projection real time. This was today's price action right there. This was the potential new one showing. You can see the fragmented of the old one. It does come up into here. It fragments through here. That's why it's really hard to see. But this is essentially mostly the new one that gave these projected moves. The old one here is, the old one, I believe, are these ones here. See the old one moving? All right. That's the previous one. It's still leading. Straight across. It does kind of show resemblance with bigger candles, but not as exact as the movements that we had projected from the potential new one today, obviously. I posted a tweet out on that. If you want to see that more defined by itself, go check that out. Would appreciate the interaction with that as well. And thank you all that already did. So anyways, that puts us right down in here right now. And showing volatility tomorrow according to the potential new one. Showing essentially, I guess the volatility could happen either way. And then here's where we would divert. Showing what? Friday, 17 at 0940. So no, tomorrow. So it's showing volatility tomorrow. So we may get the diversion happening tomorrow. Either way. If we do go south and go downside instead, we have the macro to macro, which I'm about to show you. So let me zoom back out and show you the macro view of these snakes, of both of them. Again, I don't know how far we would follow either one of them, so I do have more clipped on this one for obvious reasons. I clipped it a while ago. I didn't know how much I was going to need, and I've only had this much movement to clip as of this morning, and I left it on there. So I'll update that for tomorrow. We'll go over it again in the morning before market opens in the little bit of pre-market time that we're together. So that is the macro look at the snakes and the inside micro look at them, their previous projections, the overlay, their future projections, both of them, the diversion point. We're good to go with the snakes. Downside, if we were to go downside right now without a snake, and I will have a snake, trust me. If we go downside, I will have a snake, trust me. But for time purposes, conversation purposes, and to not make this too confusing, because it already kind of is to some, I am just going to use the macro to macro comparison from the 7-year macro descending wedge AMC prior to the January 2021 run-up, which is replicated right here and overlaid, transposed right here. This is the daily chart to show you this. I get these questions every day. Have we diverted? Have we diverted from this one? No, in my opinion, we haven't. We did hit the box top setup. I talked about that with AMC, GME, BBIG. We hit the box top setup and rejection on every single one of those. Exactly how I talked about it in the video last night, in the update this morning, and everything. So that's what happened. Excuse me. That could translate to macro downside if we start and divert from these snakes and go downside, which is eventually at some point here before this gets too far out, right, going to have to happen before this gets invalidated. Or, right, if it makes another crazy heavy bullish move to the upside, obviously that I would have to look at repositioning, number one. That's what I always do when looking at these comparisons, these comparatives. And then if I can't find its placement or some sort of justification for the movements within the placement of these, then I go ahead and invalidate them and get them out of my way. I explained that all of these, and I'm going to repeat it again, I was asked a ton today again. My intention of showing these is not to give you a candle for candle projection or prediction. It's not to give you visual representation of time or price levels. I can show you in the SPY in a minute where that would have never worked, right? And that's not my intention to do this. So I'm going to not answer those questions anymore. So I just want you all to know that. I repeat it every single day, and yet I'm asked every single day. The time periods in which these things can play out due to the ability of the opposing team to inject or insert volume to the upside and or the downside at will can create nuanced moves. It can create consolidation that draws out the linear time in which these moves can take. Nonetheless, the whole idea is to have a generalized perspective of all of these movements from a macro perspective. And all that means is zoom out and absorb the entire thing and not be so granular about it. I know everybody wants to know where it's going every minute of every day, what level, how high, when, how low, are we going to be there by this time, yada, yada, yada. I get it. But that is not the intention of what I'm showing here. So please, please, please hear me when I say that. Anyways, if you do that and you practice that and you look out here when I do that, if that were to be consolidated out linear to the right more, right, and take up more time before the hard downside move would be made in this macro fractal, would this move still in this fractal, this overlay of the algo, would it still be valid if you zoom out and look at it like that? And my answer to that is yes, and it always has been until, and it will get to a point where that answer will be no. But for now, the answer is still yes, right? I mean, we could even move this out another week. And if you zoom out and you take it all in, if that white line were candles, that would still be valid, right? And I'm going to show you in SPY why. So anyways, that is the macro to macro comparative. This is where we're at. The box top hit a direct hit today. The 2030 provided resistance like I talked about. It has turned green in after hours here, so we are pushing up a little bit more. If we reestablish this resistance as support, I believe we could see a decent move to the upside tomorrow. From a technical perspective, in my opinion, if we can break and hold 2030 and show confirmation and continuation of regaining that level as a support level, I do believe we will see volume get inserted back to the upside to give us a move, and I'll talk levels tomorrow if that happens. However, if we reject, we could fulfill one of two things. We could start to fulfill the macro descending, or we do have a potential for this ascending level of support that you see here, and the ability to break down these levels. Now, we do have two significant support levels underneath this that would have to break down as well for that to happen, but it's the potential is there, right? When you get these ascending levels like this, you pull away, you come back. You pull away, and we haven't come back yet. Doesn't mean you have to, but we've already established that, and we need another touch to confirm that. So it's very possible that if it does break down, that could be in the future. Again, I will address those levels if that starts to happen, but you can see them here clear as day. Okay? One right there, one right here, and one right here. All right, so that's where we're at within the macro to macro comparative for AMC as well. Good deal? Good deal. SPY. This is what I'm talking about when I say it's not candle for candle, and that it is not my intention in any way, shape, or form to have this be a representation of time or price level. This is a suggested path or a projected path based on previous historical movements that I have found in pattern recognition or fractal recognition and ID, where I have the ability to see that and transpose it on real time and then watch it as it fulfills, or if it doesn't and diverts, then I have a process which I explained a little bit of by reassessing or reevaluating the placement of them prior to invalidating them, but then eventually if they divert that distinctly, they get invalidated. But this is what I mean, right? By no means was it was time represented. By no means were the price levels at those certain times represented. I showed this today, and I want to show you real quick. If you would have recognized this and laid this over and you got up here, you would have seen the path to the upside and assumed that, oh my gosh, it's going up next, and look what happened. This is what I'm talking about, right? This, in the position that I have had it in, that has given not spot on, but you can see the replicated movements and the suggestion of those movements with it overlaid in this position. It's given that since back in September, October. And it still is, right? Now, we have diverted a little bit. And again, I want to point out the difference in levels, in price levels and time that this would have indicated and then fulfilled. And then I want to show you over here where we have, let me go to the 4 hour real quick, where we have diverted a little bit out of the direct path in which this was indicating, right? Now, that could mean one of two things. That could be an actual diversion from this, meaning that the placement of this could potentially be in the wrong place. That would be crazy if it was, knowing that it has given this much and more prior to it projected movements. Doesn't mean it has to continue either, right? It can divert like that. It would just be like, wow, really? It gave you that much, and then just boom, out of nowhere it goes somewhere different. Absolutely. Absolutely. I say it all the time. This method works until it doesn't. At least it has for me. Unfortunately for me, not unfortunately, but fortunately for me, I have found ways to know if it does that, where to go next to find the next one. So I use them. It's been very successful for me. I have shown that on the channel, and I think a lot of y'all get that now. Somebody commented today and said that was one of the best things about me is my ability when these things do divert, my ability to be able to go find the next one and have it. And I try to do that and stay a step ahead of real-time price action to be able to do that. So I appreciate that comment. I think it was Goob. Goob, thank you for the comment today. That kind of resonated with me because it's what I try to do. So I appreciate that. So anyways, we did kind of divert, or like I said, we got to look at the placement if that is the case, or this thing is just pulling some liquidity consolidation, some range-bound consolidation. A box top did start to play out on this today. We'll see what the micro movements are tomorrow and what they suggest as far as potentially indicating the next macro move, because that's what they do. Obviously, what this is indicating, right, is heavy downside. And that's what's needed for this in this position to continue to fulfill this. So we'll see if we get a rejection again off the 448. I talked about the 442 and then the 445 or 446 and then the 448. Those are the levels in which we were dealing with intraday. We'll see we're down below. We're breaking down below the 446 right now in after hours. So we'll see if that brings us back down to the 444. And then if so, we'll see if we reestablish there. We already have support there, so we'll see if it catches and or just continuation upside. Again, if it does that, I'm going to try to stay out in front of it and have something suggested for myself and for you to look at if it were to do that, which I pretty much already do, to be honest with y'all. So especially with SPY. So anyways, and what this is suggesting is heavy downside, obviously. And if it gives that in this position from out here, I'm still okay with it, right? I showed you what it looks like back here. I'd still be okay with that spacing between the projection and the real time. It wouldn't make a difference. I talked about that in the AMC macro to macro. Same thing here. If this thing were to break down in here tomorrow and then, you know, come up and replicate this and maybe overshoot this a little bit before it came down, it would look just like it belonged there. So in hindsight, so it's a hard thing to try to articulate this, to try to articulate what hindsight vision and hindsight thought would be if this were to happen, because in the moment, it makes your mind and everybody's minds and emotions and feelings think that it's diverted, and it may have, right? I'll admit that it may have, and we'll find it if it did. I'm not ready to invalidate this though to that level yet, because if and when that would happen, and like I said, overshoot it here to the upside on the dead cat bounce, and then fall off out here, and it would be a staggered look like it is previously. In hindsight, we'd all look at that and say, wow, man, that projected everything spot on, right? So keep that in mind, please, when I'm presenting this, not only in these videos, but in the live streams. Keep that all in mind for me. It does make my life a lot easier if y'all can wrap your heads around that, because that's the intention of showing this to y'all, is to just show the suggested path, right? Not price levels, not price targets, not time sequence like that, okay? All right, I appreciate y'all. If you made it to the end of the video, that's SPY, that's AMC. Tomorrow is Thursday, the 17th of February, and I will be live again first thing in the morning at 9 a.m. from market open to market close, and I will either see you all in the live stream, and or I will see you all in the update video tomorrow evening after market close. Appreciate y'all. See you in the morning. Enjoy your evening. Later.